We will read a letter from the governor. Dear counselors, I am pleased to nominate Jamie Bennett to the position of Associate Justice of the Juvenile Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of a Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Governor Maura Healey. This morning we have with us here our Counselor Ziegler, Counselor Kennedy, Counselor Dolan, as well as Counselor Jacobs. And we will start by starting with our first witness. Jamie, can you please introduce your first witness, please?
Yes. I'm lucky to have with me the Honorable Jennifer Curry.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Esteemed counselors, it is with great enthusiasm and without reservation that I'm here in support of Jamie Bennett for the position of Associate Justice on the Juvenile Court. I have worked closely with Jamie for just shy of 20 years. We began practicing law together around the same time in Worcester District Court as members of the defense bar before we both transitioned to juvenile court to represent juveniles in delinquency and youthful offender matters. Myself as a member of the private bar and Jamie on behalf of CPCS. We subsequently took on supervisory and leadership roles, 2 lawyers working on behalf of juveniles, and were each other's counterpart for the private and public bar. At each of these stages of our respective legal careers, I've always thought of Jamie as a trusted and valuable colleague and confidant, and I feel truly lucky to be her friend. Jamie has proven to be a formidable litigator and leader with an impeccable reputation in the local legal community. Her breadth of knowledge and experience in juvenile court matters is well known. She is a kind and patient practitioner, leader, and mentor. Daily, I have observed her empathetic treatment of her clients, their parents, and victims. And daily, I have observed her display of respect and professionalism for the court, opposing counsel, and lawyers that she manages and mentors. She's a model of kindness and compassion. I'm now an Associate Justice on the Juvenile Court. In the past 2 years, I've had the pleasure of observing Jamie from the bench. When appearing before the court, I've been most impressed with her thorough case preparation, knowledge of juvenile law, and its intersection with the science of adolescent brain development. Juvenile court practice requires a specialized approach, not only in navigating juvenile-specific laws and court rules, but in navigating them while representing our most vulnerable. The multidisciplinary aspect of the juvenile court is often overwhelming. However, Jamie navigates its complexities flawlessly, skillfully laying out details of her cases while tirelessly working on behalf of her clients. Jamie Bennett is a person of integrity, of compassion, of high moral character, and considerable legal experience. She is truly a juvenile court expert. She has the experience, legal acumen, empathy, and demeanor to be an exemplary Associate Justice on the Juvenile Court, and her nomination is universally applauded. Thank you for allowing me to speak on her behalf today.
Thank you so much, Honorable. And counselors, any other questions? Or do you have any questions for our witness?
Good to see you, Judge.
Just all I wanted to say. Because the last time that we saw each other, we were both practicing law at the same. We both are, so I couldn't be more pleased. And thank you so much for coming to testify.
Thank you so much. And Jamie, would you like to call your second witness?
Yes, please. I would like to call the Deputy Chief of the Youth Advocacy Division, Ducci Gonzalez.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Jamie.
As Jamie said, my name is Ducci Gonzalez. I'm the Deputy Chief Counsel of the Youth Advocacy Division at CPCS. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. I'm really honored to offer my strong support for the nomination of Jamie Bennett to the Massachusetts Juvenile Court. I've had the privilege of working closely with Jamie for almost 15 years, and I can say without hesitation, she embodies the qualities we should all want in a judge. Deep integrity, strong legal acumen, a collaborative spirit, and an unwavering commitment to justice, particularly for youth. Jamie is a highly experienced trial attorney who has handled complex juvenile and criminal matters with competence and care. She has a command of the courtroom, evidentiary issues, and trial strategy, and she is consistently exercising excellent judgment. She is a thoughtful, well-prepared advocate. Her understanding of adolescent brain development, trauma, and the principles of positive youth development enhances her ability to evaluate cases holistically and craft outcomes that are both legally sound and developmentally appropriate. Jamie has also contributed significantly to statewide efforts to improve the juvenile practice. She has served on the Juvenile Justice Policy and Data Board and has also co-chaired the Worcester County Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative for over a decade. Jamie has been a leader in efforts to reduce racial disparities in the juvenile legal system. In 2024, she was selected as an ambassador for racial justice, a competitive national program sponsored by Georgetown's Juvenile Justice Initiative and the Galt Center. In 2019, she was also recognized with the Standing Ovation Award for impact on juvenile justice reform. Jamie will bring not only legal excellence to the bench, but also the humanity and insight that our juvenile courts need. I support her nomination without reservation, and I urge the committee to confirm her. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for your. Thank you. Counselors, any questions?
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Is there any opposition this time? Okay. Jamie, congratulations on your nominations. First, would you like to introduce family and friends that are with you this morning?
Yes, I'm very grateful to have my very loving husband, my mother, and my sister here today.
Thank you so much. And now it's your turn, and I'll give it to you to say your personal statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Civil and members of the Governor's Council. I am humbled and honored to be nominated as an Associate Justice of the Juvenile Court. I appreciate the time that you have all afforded me to meet and speak with you about in your consideration here today. I want to thank Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll for the trust they have shown me in nominating me to serve the Commonwealth's most vulnerable children and families in juvenile court. I want to thank Deputy Chief of YAD, Ducci Gonzalez, and the Honorable Jennifer Curry for taking the time out of their busy schedules to be here today to speak on my behalf. Your mentorship and support have truly inspired me, and I'm truly grateful. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Governor's Legal Counsel, Chief Legal Counsel Jesse Boodoo, his predecessor Paige Scott Reed, and Deputy Legal Counsel Derek Kesselheim for their time, encouragement, and guidance through this process. Thank you to Sonia Altamirano and Kimberly Baptiste for all their assistance throughout the nomination and today's hearing. As I said, my very supportive family is here today, including my husband, mother, and sister. And I also know I have family watching, including family in Wisconsin. I feel so grateful for a legal career shaped by mentors, peers, and champions who have both pushed me, supported me, including my managing director, Priscilla Duffy. And I'm deeply indebted to my dear friend, Adrian Angus, who we lost last year. Adrian was a brilliant attorney who believed in me and encouraged me to seek this nomination. I'm here today because public service is in my DNA. My late father, Steve, was a proud lieutenant of the Massachusetts State Police. My mother, Mary, was a preschool teacher in an inclusion classroom. They were both active members of their church and taught me the importance of giving back to my community. I adored my father, and his work as a police officer helped cultivate my love for the law. My mother's admirable work as a teacher showed me that providing children with appropriate treatment and support at a young age can make a huge difference in their lives and outcomes. I was raised with many privileges in a middle-class suburban household in Marlborough. However, during my teenage years, my father had significant health issues, including a kidney transplant, heart attack, and triple bypass surgery. At times, I struggled to cope with powerful emotions while navigating school and responsibilities. Fortunately, two very significant communities lifted me up: the love of my extended family and athletics. Having a family support and spending quality time with people who loved me fostered my resilience and identity. If confirmed, I would bring those experiences with me to the bench, along with a deep appreciation of the vital role that extended family can play in child development. Sports was the arena where I built self-confidence, reduced stress, improved my mood, made lasting friendships, and became assertive enough to lead. For me, leadership did not equate with being the best athlete, but a person who embodied teamwork and dedication towards achieving a goal. I benefited from the principles of positive youth development, using a strength-based approach to help youth channel their passions towards healthier outcomes. And that would serve as a foundation for my work as a judge. For 19 years, I've served as a public defender with the Committee for Public Counsel Services, representing indigent clients with dedication and compassion. For over a decade, I've focused on juvenile court matters, including delinquency, youthful offender, and child requiring assistance cases. I've had the honor to work closely with youth and their families, and they have shared their trauma and hardships with me. I strove not only for the best legal outcomes for clients, but also for their overall well-being through holistic representation with social service advocates. Teamwork has benefited me as an attorney, collaborating with other stakeholders to craft a fair and equitable outcome for my clients. My leadership on the courts naturally evolved into a passion for mentoring younger attorneys. For the past 12 years, I have supervised both new and experienced lawyers. I try to lead by example and acknowledge when I don't have the answers. In those moments, I researched, sought guidance, and connected my team with others who could help. As a judge, I would continue this collaborative approach, seeking insight from my trusted colleagues when needed. Although I am proud to be here as nominated as a juvenile court judge, my greatest source of pride is being a mother to my 12-year-old son, Jane Jones. He is an exceptional human, and it's not unusual to hear a mom express their pride of their child. But I was struck recently when we received an email from my son's 7th grade social studies teacher entitled "Grateful for Shane." His teacher shared, "I can see it in the peers around him that he has such a positive impact on all of them. People feel safe around him, which means so much, especially in middle school, when socially things can be so difficult for so many." I believe those are attributes that we should all strive to embody, and if confirmed, those words would serve as an inspiration for me on the bench, where I would work hard to be a positive impact on my court and community and leave claimants before me feeling safe, even through difficult times. Thank you again for your time and consideration this morning, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Jamie, and thank you for that wonderful opening statement. Now we'll start off by having our counselors ask you questions, and we'll start off with Counselor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, you as well.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Thank you.
I don't have a lot of questions for you. Your own counselor, Tamisha Sill, is a big supporter of yours, but frankly, having Judge Jen Curry support you is really all I need to know. So I just want to ask you one thing. We talked about exclusionary orders.
Yeah.
As you know, sometimes when someone is charged with an offense, whether it's an adult or a child, they come to court many times. They sometimes come to court month after month after month, waiting for the Commonwealth to produce evidence that they need in order to pursue the charges. At some point, that simply isn't fair. So I just wanted to ask you about your view of exclusionary orders, because judges can order that evidence be excluded if it is not produced by a certain date. Whether you think that there are times where it's appropriate to issue an exclusionary order, what those times would be.
Thank you. I do think that I would be aware of that. I think sometimes, especially in juvenile court, when youth are charged with offenses, the sort of procedure gets lost sometimes and conflated with sort of how the youth is doing. And I really respect the judges who put a focus on making sure that discovery is complete and that we adhere to timelines. And I certainly would exclude evidence if the Commonwealth cannot produce evidence in a timely manner. I would definitely take that into account, and I think that's important.
Thank you. Counselor Ziegler?
Thank you, Counselor. It's been really great to see you this morning. To speak with you as well. Counselor Dolan's statements, Counselor Sill, is excited about your nomination. So we're glad to have you here. You know, during our conversation, I asked you a slew of questions around, why now? And what you're looking to do on the bench. We spent some time talking about, resources that are available, resources that we'd like to see be brought to the court. Can you speak to that?
Sure. I mean, I think that it's wonderful when we have some new exciting resources in the court. And we utilize, sometimes the court clinic has a case management and they can meet with the family and make recommendations and put referrals in place to try to meet the needs of the youth before the court or the families. We also have utilized diversion programs, and we have a robust diversion program in Worcester County that has been really excellent in keeping kids out of the courtroom, but also providing correct resources for them. And sometimes we pilot programs where there are wraparound services for 24/7 availability of clinicians for families, and that tries to keep children at home, especially with child requiring assistance. And those are programs that I think I would love to see throughout the Commonwealth. And I think that sometimes there's a lack of mental health services for youth. And I would love to be able to see that be more robust.
You come to this seat with a lot of experience working with youth. And in your questionnaire, you talk about positive youth development as a model that you apply in your work in the Youth Advocacy Division. Can you talk about how you see that model being applied from the bench?
Well, I think that we all want to see, it's juvenile court's a court of rehabilitation. And we want to see, like I said in my statement, not just good legal outcomes, but good life outcomes for children. And trying to utilize either through social service advocates or just attorneys getting to know their clients very well, trying to find things in the community that excite children and get them passionate about something so that they can have better outcomes. And for me, that was sports, but for other children, it can be, arts and music. And I would really work to try to have those outcomes be something that as a judge, I would want to hear if that's happening for youth. I know Judge Curry asks children how they're doing and if they're doing anything outside of school that excites them. And I think that's very important.
As you know, in your experience, cases that would come before you, if you're confirmed, would be very complex. Some may include instances of domestic violence between parent-child or partner violence, homelessness and housing insecurity, things of that nature. So a lot of heavy topics that are related to the cases that come before you. And we talked about self-awareness, right? And how you would approach these cases in a way that's trauma informed and not impacting or creating more trauma for the clients. Can you speak a little bit more to in this public forum, how would you reduce instances of trauma cases?
Really important question. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of the litigants that come before the juvenile court have all experienced some form of trauma. And so that's something I'm very aware of. I do think a judge and their way they comport themselves and their temperament in the courtroom can really affect how, litigants feel. If they feel safe in the courtroom, then I think, and they feel like someone's listening to them, and it feels comfortable for them in the courtroom, then they're going to have a better experience. I'm definitely someone who talks to my clients before they come into the courtroom, and I've definitely asked judges in the past to either clear the courtroom for a certain litigant, maybe allow the youth to have their headphones on. They're not necessarily listening to music, but whatever it takes to make sure that they're calm, feel calm if they have to be in front of the court. I would certainly be open-minded if, waiving their presence for certain court dates if they don't need to be there. And so to reduce the trauma around coming to court and families missing work and children missing school. And, or potentially allowing motions for families to appear on Zoom for certain dates to reduce some of that trauma coming to court, finding parking and being in front of the judge, which can all be stressful for a family.
I appreciate you being intentional in your answers, both in our conversation prior to today, prior to this hearing and during this hearing. It's clear that you understand and grasp the complexities of the cases that would come before you. And I appreciate that, given that, you're dealing with individuals who are vulnerable, some of the most vulnerable so, and I love the fact that you have 19 years in public defense, and so you got it from the ground level up. And with that, I have no further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor Ziegler, and Counselor Iannella.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions. You have a nice resume. You get your biggest supporter right there, big supporter. When your name was submitted, she called me. That coupled with your resume, it's enough for me. I'll be more than happy to vote for you next week.
Very much. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kennedy?
I got 2 calls. I got one from the chair and I got one from Councilor DePaul, who's a big supporter of yours as well. We had an opportunity to speak on the phone for quite a while. You answered all my questions. You have what I like, a lot of trial experience. We talked about that at length, both in the juvenile court and the district court, and Superior Court as well. I think you probably should have been applying for Superior Court with the level of experience you have. Did you enjoy meeting with the governor?
Very much so.
She's great, isn't she?
She is wonderful.
And she's got a great staff too. They do a great job, making our job a little easier. So legal counsel, deputy legal counsel. You answered all my questions. I'm going to be voting. I'm sure that Lieutenant Bennett is very, very proud of you.
Very much.
Counselor DePaulo?
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. Congratulations.
Very much.
I was true to my word that I'd be cutting it close and was a few minutes late this morning. Apologize to Chief Counsel who just walked out, and to Judge Curry, who's doing an outstanding job. Sorry I missed their statements. I'm glad you mentioned Adrian Angus. He's someone who's had outside influence. His influence continues to ripple, and it's very inspirational. Since the hearing began, a special guest joined us. Rep. Danielle Greger from Marlborough is here in support of you, and that says a lot. I received a lot of calls from the moment vacancies were open from so many people, including during your process on the JNC and the joint bar. Her DeAndrea is someone who was very excited to see you come through. And your experience is impeccable. It's so great to see someone who's in the Worcester community joining the bench. It continues to blow my mind that under the prior administration, seats were left vacant in the Worcester Juvenile Court when we have so many qualified attorneys in this practice space who could have been meeting that need. So it's a happy day for the Commonwealth and for children and families in Central Mass in particular to have you here. So with that, I have no questions for you. I'm very excited and happy for you to be joining the bench. Thank you, Counselor.
Counselor Jacobs?
Congratulations on your
Thank you very much.
nomination. Thank you for coming out and spending time with me. We had a really fascinating discussion. We covered so many things. And thank you for following up with a long list of resources that I am quite certain after I get through the enormous reading ahead of me, will show up in this room at some point with lots of stats and just kind of challenging to get through stories. Frankly, I started to read the book as well. Like,
Oh, yes.
I think one chapter at a time, just take a break. But I don't have a ton of questions. A lot of what I would have asked has already been asked in the room. I did want to give you an opportunity to expand further if you want to on how you have already been working towards impacting racial disparities that you see present in the juvenile court system, but also how from the bench what you can achieve or what you hope to be able to achieve from the bench to make some change there.
Thank you for that really important question. I think, first of all, just being able to talk about racial disparities and say it out loud and, let's not be quiet about it is important. And, Massachusetts is always rated as one of the top states in the nation for raising children. But unfortunately, in our youth delinquency system, children of color go deeper and deeper into the system. And so we really have to start looking at that and analyzing it and doing everything we can to figure out how we can reduce those disparities. And so I think I would just like to keep talking about it, keep meeting with stakeholders to see what we can do to reduce those disparities. I think especially as a judge and any practitioner before the court, you need to look at your own implicit bias and be willing to look back on your own data and do that self-reflection and see if you are causing any disparities on your own. And so that's something I would do on the bench. And I would love to continue, if possible, to keep working on committees who are looking at these disparities and try to address them.
No, I love that. Just as a follow-up on that, what if any role do you think courts should have in communicating with school districts on these kinds of issues? Like, schools obviously are coming to the courts when they're bringing through truancy type or other concerns. So there is already a connection in a specific way. But is there a space for addressing the societal elements of the issues that show up in the racial disparities in the juvenile court?
I do think it's funny we talk about schools, but it really education. And again, sort of speaking up about some of the disparities that we see. Black girls are suspended way more than other children. So being just as a practitioner aware of some of those statistics and bringing them to the attention of the school if that happens. Unfortunately, a lot of children who are in foster care sometimes don't have great outcomes in school. So it's just having that awareness. I love data. I love looking at it. And I want to always be self-reflective while I'm on the bench too about that. And I'm happy to, again, just talk about it. We need to keep talking about it.
No, I appreciate that. It's really been a pleasure meeting you and getting to know you. And I have no more questions today. Thank you.
Jamie, again, congratulations. I'm so happy to hear that your answers have been consistent since we met. So thank you for meeting me, having a really in-depth conversation about what this means as far as racial justice, the racial disparities, juvenile justice, criminal justice reform, and what does that look like for our youth. I think it's very important that people know that not only that you are experienced in what you do, but you recognize the signs, you recognize the disparities, you recognize that when it comes to certain communities, they are affected more than the affluent communities. So I'm very appreciative that we were able to discuss these in person together, and I'm able to see your emotions and are able to know that when you become a juvenile justice judge, that you will take your job seriously and you would acknowledge certain things that don't make sense, especially when you get a police report and the charges are not adding up to the four corners of the report. So I think it's very important. And we talked about not only do you practice as an attorney and working with youth, but you're also part of organizations such a little bit like ROCA, but a little different. If you can elaborate on that for me, please.
I've been a board member for Legendary Legacies, which is a nonprofit in Worcester run by Ron Waddell, who's wonderful. And they work with mostly men who are 18 to 22, who have been previously usually incarcerated. And they really work to reduce community violence. And, they provide help with formerly incarcerated gentlemen who and they help them find transportation, housing, work, which is all helps to reduce recidivism. And that's huge. And that means a lot to me.
Thank you. And also, we talked about rehabilitation, how it's important to rehabilitate our youth. The culture competence that's important when you have different families and different communities from different national backgrounds and that don't understand the legal system in the United States or within their state that they're living in. And what does that mean when we need to partner up and provide resource and access instead of penalizing the lack of knowledge? It's very important to know that we had a conversation about trauma, how trauma looks for people, and it comes in different forms, different ways, and how to acknowledge the signs. And what's important is how do we rebuild from having them come back into a system that is trying to suppress them, right? So I think it's very important that everyone knows that you have worked tremendously for the last 16 plus years to make sure that you have a footprint, especially working with the youth. So with that being said, we're going to conclude our hearing. And again, congratulations for your nomination, and I'm looking forward to voting for you.
She spent all night worrying about that.
Did. And I just needed a tour from you to.
for a moment of reflection and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you so much, Governor. I want us to reflect on the importance of informing the people in a time when the federal government is shut down and we're facing big federal budget cuts in Massachusetts. I want to draw everyone's attention to a terrific dashboard that the Healy Driscoll administration has put up to inform people about the pending cuts from 300,000 Medicaid recipients, $2.6 billion in grants to the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation. You can also, if you go to this portal, inform the state as to how the cuts are impacting you. So go to mass.gov and search for cuts. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, what a difference in the weather a couple of days it makes, huh? Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'd like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Civil for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace. Motion's been made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Dolan. All those in favor? Not by Counselor Dolan, I'm sorry. You've got it for the record, Sonia.
So much like.
You just. So, all those in favor? The ayes have it. Sorry, that was Counselor Jacobs on the second. I know we have 4 new nominations. Jillian Feiner to the position of Associate Justice of Superior Court. That's you, Counselor Dolan. Any chance you have a date and time for this hearing yet?
I do.
All right.
October 29th at 10.
10/29 at 10 a.m. And then Mark Twombly Lee for the position of Associate Justice for Probate and Family. Counselor DiPaolo, I think that one's yours.
Correct. And
Still working on one or?
no, we're gonna do November 5th at 11 a.m.
11/5. Okay.
We have a busy month with
Yeah,
today.
we do. I love that. And then Alessandra Petrocelli to the position of Associate Justice, also in probate court. Counselor Kennedy,
29th, you got, did you do 10 o'clock or?
10 a.m.
The 10.
10? Okay, we'll do that at 11.
And 29 at 11 a.m. All right, we're getting a lot done here. And then Elena Tizizer to the position of Associate Justice, again in probate and family. Counselor Civil, I think that one's yours.
Have a date by the end of this week.
So this one's to be determined. Perfect.
Can I interrupt just to ask the first name I didn't catch?
Elena.
The first name's also Elena?
No, Elena Tizizer, Tizizer.
Was that the first one you said before Lee? The very first one?
The first one I said was Jillian Feiner.
Feiner, that's what
Oh,
I.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking Feiner, Zizer. Okay. Then Mark Lee.
Apologize, thank you so much.
Got them all?
Got them all.
I don't think we have any other business, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been made by Counselor Dolan, seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it, even though Counselor Kennedy does not look like he wants to adjourn.
That's it.